Hello, I'm Matt Oxley. I'm going to chat with you for a few moments about business development, affluent business development. Now let me frame it to you this way. Imagine that you're in a playing field, in a professional setting, where everybody who has money in your world needs and wants your services. 8 out of 10 statistically would consider changing their financial advisor if they knew of a better alternative. 9 out of 10 would welcome a second opinion on their family's financial health if they knew of a qualified professional who could provide that second opinion. And yet, they don't really know what you do. They're dazed and confused, they're skeptical, they're jaded. So as a result, you have to proactively go out there and market and sell your services. Yet, the affluent statistically don't like salespeople, and they don't like the excessive taxes they feel they pay. So your sales skills need to be so refined, so well honed, that they're virtually seamless. But the icing on the cake, the silver lining here, is there's no competition. None. Only 1.3% of financial advisors today are bringing in 10 or more new relationships north of $1 million of investable assets. We call that rainmaking. And we know exactly what these elite advisors are doing. We know the marketing activities they do, and we know what they avoid. Now, the high impact activities of these elite rainmakers are very simple. But before I get into the high impact activities, in this business development world of the elite, they have an ideal profile of a client they target. They have a minimum standard, it's a catch basket, but they have an ideal. And we look at the ideal in the range of 1 million at the low side to 15 million at the top side, give or take a little bit. And somewhere in there, there is an ideal, 3 to 5 million, 2 to 3 million, and then a minimum that has enough of a range between the ideal and a minimum, and the minimum is just the catch basket. Now, all business development activity is geared to the ideal. The ideal. So first and foremost, these elite advisors have an ideal. They're going to bring in 15, 16, 20 new relationships over a 12-month period that meets their ideal. Now, the high impact activities are introductions. Rainmakers penetrate centers of influence. Introductions. Their top clients, if they like their elite advisor, and they do, that's why they're elite. If they trust their elite advisor, and they do, that's why they're elite. And if they respect their elite advisor professionally, and of course they do, again, that's why they're elite, with sales skills that are seamless. So these elite advisors are always working on their sales skills. They're able to penetrate their best clients' centers of influence. And by the way, statistically, a $5 million client is easier to penetrate, their center of influence that is, than a $500,000 client. Birds of a feather do flock together. Now, each of these clients should be responsible for 6 similar profile clients throughout the lifetime of that professional relationship. As long as we trust each other, like each other, respect each other, and the advisor has these seamless sales skills. And that's how they orchestrate introductions. And what happens is whenever they get a referral, they turn it into an introduction. Because these elite advisors don't really accept referrals. An interesting statistic from our data. 83% of your affluent clients, if you just categorically ask them for a referral, they feel awkward being asked. It's an awkward conversation. But they like you, trust you, respect you, so they'll nod affirmatively and say, let me think about it. Don't really know anybody right now. But we had our statisticians be very, very clear how we asked this question. We wanted to know how they felt being asked. 83% had a negative feeling. Yet 8 out of 10 would happily introduce you to somebody if you had sourced the name and say, John, I want to meet your colleague, Jack. So whenever you get a referral and they say, hey, Matt, I've given your name to my buddy Mark in the office, he's going to be calling you, we say, hey, get that as an introduction. Better yet, hey, instead of referring me to Mark, let's both go to lunch. it'll be my treat so you can personally introduce me to Mark. You see, rainmakers, these elite advisors, if they get a referral, they turn it into an introduction. The other thing they do is it's social prospecting, basically. They're out there on the affluent playing field, and they know how to schmooze. And they go out to these events, they have their antenna activated, and they're face to face with these affluent opportunities because they know 9 out of 10 will entertain a second opinion on their financial health in today's environment. This is what we coach to. This is what we teach. It is a beautiful playing field. We talk about intimate events. Intimate. A handful of good clients, and each one of them with a hand-selected friend, and you have a wine tasting, or you go to a ball game, or you have a cooking class, or a cooking school at one of even at a client's house. These work marvelously well as long as there's no sales. No sales. You see, it's all about relationships. Business development in today's world is relationship marketing, and relationship marketing is linked to the client loyalty component of our New World Advisor, which I'll talk about later. You see, loyal clients are the most statistically significant factor to rainmaking because they all have multiple centers of influence. And the stronger our relationships with our clients, the more we can surprise and delight our clients, the more we can solve their problems, and the more we work on our sales skills, our business development will be pristine because there's no competition. None. So when you think about it, the glass is truly half full for business development, but we have to be on our A game. We have to always be working on our sales skills. We have to really work on our language, how to communicate, what words not to use, because we know the affluent don't perceive themselves as affluent. They don't perceive themselves as wealthy, so we have to be careful using that language. We have to be careful using collateral materials and brochures, because we know what the affluent think of these materials. And anything we do, we have to be aware of, could activate that awareness antenna. Uh-oh, we got a salesperson here. You see, because they perceive stockbrokers as salespeople. They perceive insurance agents as salespeople. And they look at this industry with guarded vision. So we have to always, always, always work to continually master this fine art of selling to the affluent. And it truly is an art form. It's like being a master chef. Business development in the world of the affluent is like being a master chef to the affluent. A master chef can cook with any ingredients on hand. They fine-tune a little bit, shake and bake a little bit, and they give you a wonderful meal. A mediocre chef has to follow the numbers. Well, in selling to the affluent, we're like that master chef. We have to know when to shift gears. We have to know when to say something that's a little provocative. We have to know when to get that mini close. And this is what we coach to, because this is really what elevates us to elite status, is being rainmakers in today's environment. So let's go out there and continue to make rain, because you can take business away from virtually anybody in today's environment.